How do I do this then?
All right, Bear. How's it going?
How you doing, guys?
Hey, John, you all right?
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
How's things?
How are
Hello,
you?
Riley. Hello, mate.
Hi.
How you doing?
I don't.
Good,
You've
thanks.
not met properly before, have you?
We've not. No, I keep seeing your swing flashing up. Some of the stuff you're doing, mate, is awesome. Swings
Oh,
looking pure,
thanks.
looking awesome.
Quality. So obviously, we've got a few people coming into the room.
Perfect.
So hello to everyone. We just wanted to do a live with yourself, John.
No, I appreciate that.
I think we've been using ColourPath for, I'd probably say, about the last 2 or 3 months
Yep.
since Christmas. Is that right?
Got to be about
And
Christmas
it's
time, yeah.
become, yeah, I think so. And we really like it, and obviously it's becoming more and more well known across the golfing world. So as we start to do a little bit more on social media, for anyone that's watching, this is our first proper live that we've hosted. So John, you're really lucky.
I feel privileged.
So if anyone's tuning in, we're just going to have a chat, aren't we, and just sort of
Absolutely.
talk about junior golf, how ColourPath golf's going, and all that. So how's lockdown been, and being stuck in the house?
It's been it's been a bit of a weird one. It's been amazing, really, from our point of view. I've spoken probably to the best part of about 200 plus coaches over the last 3 weeks, all around the world, really.
Yeah.
Talking about the concept and just helping them. There's a lot of guys in different situations, away from families. Guys I'm talking to in China, and their families are over here, and them just being stuck in a flat. We're lucky we've got gardens we can sit in and having a chat here. But these guys haven't got that, and okay, they can have a little bit of a walk, but yeah, it's been amazing, really, the connection and sharing, like what you guys are doing as your father and son journey. You're sharing experiences, and that's what it's all about. And we're sharing, the experience of what you can do with ColourPath, and we're grateful for the stuff that you're posting. It's been fantastic, but we have a method that's simplistic, and we're getting some good traction, and we're enjoying it.
It's good. I like that, and I mean, Riley doesn't do the social media as much, so he's obviously not seen it as much as me. He knows that I'm taking pictures of him and doing videos every now and then, but it's usually me behind the posting and all that. But our social media has exploded over the last few weeks, with people getting in touch, obviously getting to speak to me and my golf on the weekend with peers and little things like that, and I'm starting to understand the sort of place where we are as a page, putting out the positive junior golf messages, and also me learning a little bit more as a parent. I've got with the Ledbetter Golf Academy doing some of the junior stuff with those, and sort of inwardly looking at my performance as a dad and a parent coach. I don't know what Riley's thoughts are on that, if I'm doing a good job or not.
You're doing a great job.
I'll give him his fiver later.
No, you've got a great relationship. You can see the bond that you've got, and the want to help each other out, and the challenges that you're doing. I think that's what you're doing is bringing that positive experience. There's other families at home that probably will be looking and thinking, oh, I want to try golf, and I'd like to have that relationship with my kids, and just doing a bit. And I'm sure your advice is just start and have a go, and go out and play a few holes. And you've only got one mum and dad, and as you get older, it's nice to. I've got a great relationship with my dad. He's my best mate, and I think that's what's really important. You've got to value, and if you've got some similar interests, which you guys have, then fantastic. So I saw you taking a little video out the window when Riley was swinging his little fitness running.
There's it's quite funny, like at the beginning of that, I need to post it actually, because Riley's downstairs and he's taking his swings, and I've pressed record, and he obviously hears that record button quite a lot because I'm always filming, and he's like, he was hitting into the net, and he was just looking around, and he was like, where's Dad recording me from? And then he just sees me up in the window.
Yeah.
Love it. That's brilliant.
But no, you're right, and I think golf's golf's been great for us. I mean, who's your best mate?
You.
Yeah, I'll give him another fiver in a minute. But we are generally really close because of the game. When you're spending, we don't do many 18 holes, so it's usually a couple of hours doing 9 holes. But when you're out with the dog, 2 hours, just me and him, you're naturally gonna build a better bond. Such a good game for it. My background's all rugby and swimming when I was a kid, so I was just up and down swimming length. So I never, I've got a great relationship with my parents, but I certainly didn't. Me and my dad did play golf when I got a little bit older, but not to the extent that sort of me and Riley do it, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's cherishing those times, isn't it? As you get older and seeing each other develop and. Some of the stuff that you're posting that journey. I think that father-son journey. I know you changed your sort of logo, but that's important. And I think what you're doing, which you can sell, is you're inspiring other families, and it's a family game, and we've got to inspire to get out there, whether it play 3 holes, 6 holes, 9 holes. It's an enjoyable sport that any age. I mean, how lovely, isn't it, that you can go out any age, Andy, Riley? You can, we can all go out different ages, granddad, grandma, and have a lovely game. There's not many sports that you can do that, really.
No, it's doing it.
Yeah.
It's
you enjoy it. So,
yeah.
have you with the colour path? What's been the big thing over the last few weeks then for yourself and the journey with colour path?
Yeah, it's been the certifications has been big. We've kind of really lots of people coming on board. We've had more parents that are getting certified. We've got obviously a school teacher certified in our concept that's wrote the most wonderful case study. I've just received it yesterday. He's teaching these an 8-year-old, 11-year-old, and a 15-year-old our concept, and they've all come back, love using colour path, want to use it. That's really touching to sort of when you read it back, and it's nice. He's made an impact, but as a school teacher, they trust him to learn from. He's their school teacher at school. So that's been fantastic. The product, I've been doing Zoom calls in the garden with guys that have bought kit and giving them a little half an hour of Zoom of how to set it up. So that's been cool. And just speaking to loads of different coaches, not just from a colour path point of view. I set up a coaches community network group, which was offering resources for coaches to be part of. I've got 60 pros in there now, and I'm offering them the opportunity to do remote coaching. And some of them are taking it and doing some remote virtual. And it's just nice to share and took the decision really to act as a bit of a leader in the field. And some people need a little bit of an arm around them to help guide them. Everyone's in different situations. And so, yeah, it's just spreading the word that we can use colour, and it's the language of colour. So when we're talking to guys
you like it, don't you?
Yeah, I use it every time I go in the net outside.
So we've our sort of experience with colour path is Riley's been doing golf for pretty much 5 years now, and obviously I'm learning more as we go along, and I was probably certainly looking at I watched a few of those Ledbetter talks and working with Gavin as well, and did the parents course. And if I look back, I probably was that too technical parent, going back at the beginning. It's certainly when Riley was really young, but he's 10 years old, and I see it all the time where he's been in a lesson and Riley's backswing was coming a little bit on the inside, which meant that his swing path was very much into out. And me and you talking about that's really easy, and we understand what that is. But a 10-year-old, and you start talking swing paths and which way the ball in and out and all this. Now Riley's gathering an understanding of it, but when you start filling a kid's head with that,
it's a bit confusing and complicated a little bit.
Yeah, exactly that. Riley's hit the nail on the head. So we did an online lesson with our coach last week for Riley's birthday, actually, and we noticed that. And Rich, who's our coach, we've introduced the colour path concept, and he's like, well, lay the colour path out. you've got the yellow and I've got to get it right, the blue on the backswing. But it just allowed Riley to, you know, it just had to say, you know, move the club back over the yellow, and then go from there. If you're inside the yellow as you're going back, then you've probably come a little bit too much on the inside. In a lot briefer than that as well. So for me, it's great for junior kids coming through. Purely on that. My background's all instruction. You know, I'm an instructor in the military in the Royal Air Force. I've taught everything from fitness to people jumping out of airplanes, and you know, as you're on that instructor journey, you start understanding that people learn differently. You've got, you know, obviously the visual, which we're talking about. People can take things in by reading it well or hearing it. So this offers something for other people. It's been good, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been helpful.
No,
yeah. So
no, sorry, go on, Andy. Sorry.
No, you go.
I was just going to say, and what's been lovely, what you've been doing is, and I know the guys from Total Golf Trainer, Mike, and you know, seeing you use different training aids to complement some of the bits that we, you know, you've got the kit down the greens. That's been lovely to see as well, that you're showing that different training aids and products can work in tangible with each other, because that's one of our things as well. We can help, and you know, we want to be the friends of everyone. So seeing some of the stuff you're doing with the Total Golf Trainer, which is a great training aid, the guys have done a great job there. Of moving, and you can move the red little ball at the end of the club to the blue disc or something like that. And I've seen you doing loads of little drills, Riley. I'll tell you what, you've got the old knockdown challenges, good, haven't you? Beating Dan and them, you knock them discs down for fun.
Yeah.
So that, you know, that's great. Just sticking the equipment out. So obviously it's got a primary purpose in terms of the swing path. But we like some of the videos that you've done. I've probably not done because we haven't been in the garden as much, but where you lay them out and create the for chipping, where you can go back to what would it be, like 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, or vice versa, and all that. So Riley was just doing a bit of chipping today whilst I was working outside, and I could see his swing on the back was, you know, nice and compact, and as he went through, his hands were like all the way through, and he was going quite far. So an instant drill could be, you know, you just take the head to the red mark or whatever mark, the red, and then through to red, or you go from blue to blue. That's much easier than saying, you know, set the wrists at this angle and go back to here and make sure you're connected in the arms and et cetera, because, you know, that just doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for you. And it's certainly not going to work for 10-year-olds and junior golfers.
Yeah, just going back to your point, which, you know, is it your coach Richard, did you say? His name Richard? Yeah. You know, the bit that we want to fill the gap in as well is that, you know, there's some valid instruction going on out there, and it'd be wrong for us to knock that. We've done a lot of research in external focus, and there's a lot of stuff we feel it's been too much heavily internal focus, talking about body parts, but it's absolutely got its place. And what you said there is then, if for Riley to understand that, by building out the kit, he can understand it in that visual concept, but it's for the coach then just to still have the knowledge, but it's how you interpret that. And we feel that the game's just got rather technical, and there's some valid information out there, but you get the nodding dog syndrome, you know, the lesson, nod and go, yeah. But when it's gone, you sort of question yourself of going, I don't actually get that. And lots of people I quiz that have lessons, they go, it was great, but I've sort of struggled to understand it. So with the concept, it helps clarify the two-way communication. So I love the work you're doing, guys. And as I say, the towel, I know you've had the towel out there for putting your feet out, which is great. We've had some good comments about that, but really good stuff, and looking forward to seeing more and more content. I think the key thing what you guys are doing is all the different fresh content that you put out, and your YouTube stuff's fantastic. That's something we're going to get better at doing, but nuggets of information, it's just touch points, isn't it? You know, it's really good.
I think so, and it's exactly that. I mean, we, you know, our social media following is we sort of don't take that for granted, and you know, I really want to push positive messages out there, as well as, yeah, it's really easy, and I think I said this to peers with me and my golf the weekend, is that people look at us, and I have had comments where, you know, you're pushing this kid too much, You know, be careful, he's only 10, you know, he's going to have burnout and everything else. But people have to understand this is just a golf page. I mean, Riley had your colour path golf in the garden today and was doing football drills around him. Yeah, exactly. And you know, I'm taking on that feedback all the time, is that we don't want people to think that it's just golf, 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 and it's because it's a golf page. We've got to find that balance. We want people to enjoy what we're putting out, but also pushing out the right messages. So that's something through this lockdown and speaking to different people that maybe we can mould it in the future. You know, we used to speak a lot about Riley's competitions and what his handicap had fallen down to, and you know, we set goals at the beginning of the year, and both of us, I mean, I've set handicap goals every year for the last 5-6 years since I've been playing properly again, and this is the first year where we sat down and said, I'm not setting one, and exactly the same with Riley. You know, you haven't got a handicap goal for the end of the year.
Nope.
His only goal was to play county golf, which we knew was going to happen because he'd been called up. So just to experience it. Now, unfortunately, he's done one session and they've cancelled the whole year now because of what's happened. But you know, he's achieved a goal. He trained with the county, and you know, it's a bit disappointing. But you know, there's more important things in life, and everything else was just to little goals, you know, making sure he did some element of practice every week, making sure that me and him continued to play, because obviously with him doing more competitions and everything, it was getting more difficult for us to play. But actually his development's just as good when he's playing against me as a sort of 3 handicapper, sort of, you know, how to plot around the course. And yeah, we really want to sort of make sure that we're putting out those right messages. And you know, Michelle Holmes, who's a massive advocate of junior golf, and we're just loving following all these different journeys and taking the best bits and trying to drive that forward. So that's great, and I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I say Michelle doing some amazing stuff as well, and I think the biggest thing is we've all got to get better at sharing. And sharing information. Well, you know, like you said about the, you know, I've taught juniors for when I was at the Grove as an instructor, and you know, you're going to have your parents that are pushy and they want their kids to do well, but I think the difference that you're creating is Riley wants to do it. You've got a great relationship. I think the relationship thing is something that's really key. You know, some kids don't have a great relationship with their parents. It might be that they live away from home, different situations, but you have to cherish that and make the game fun and enjoyable. And I see you, Riley, when you're out there in the garden, you enjoy playing and experimenting. I think that's the word. You enjoy experimenting, don't you?
Yeah, I like trying out new things.
But that's how you learn. It's not through technical and this, that, and the other. You know, we put in fact, it's on our next YouTube, which is it was a bit of fun, and it was just how we're coping with lockdown, and we did all the little games that we're doing, and like chipping when we're in the garden, we always do a thing where we try not to I've seen the bucket challenge, and that pretty much goes against everything that we'd ever do in the garden, because you're constantly going to the same target. You don't learn that way. It's a bit of fun, and I've got no dramas with doing it. But we put your colour path out, and Riley does a little drill for the video, and he actually nailed it first time. But we've got nine different targets, and Riley was showing, right, we're going to go from the near one, then a different one in the middle, and then the mat at the end. And it's just a bit of fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we can turn that into father-son competitions and all sorts. So yeah, it's good. It's good.
I love the way we really appreciate it, me and Kevin, with what you're doing with the kit, and showing. One of the challenges has been for us in the early days is people actually seeing the value. Oh, it's a bag of plastic, but it's more than that, you know. And when we try and help people and get creative with what you guys are, the chipping challenge Riley's set up, what a great little game, you know, using it with football. We're looking at other sports at the moment as well now, and you know, it's just being adaptable and having fun. And you know, seeing you in the garden the other day, you know, you were doing keepy uppies together and hitting stuff on the, you know, a ball, the challenge that you had, hitting the house stuff. You've got to have fun with it. And I think at a young age, and I'm sure you're ingrained this with Richard, within Riley, is that you've got to keep. You don't want to get too technical with it. You know, going back to technical, you've got to do more fun game-based challenges, and what you're promoting is lots of different challenges. Is what we've got to do. So it's great. Well done, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really interested in like the mental side. So I've read quite a lot of books, and I started a bit of a journey doing NLP last year, which I've sort of carried on doing. And it's that sort of that experience learning where you know, just mixing it up as much as possible. I saw Michelle, she put out a post, you know, with the putting and like different targets, and you know, if kids can be doing things like that rather than just hitting ball after ball into the net, there's a balance, because you know, we can't go out on the golf course at the minute, so we've got to be hitting balls into nets and doing some things like that. But if you can do little games with the chipping, or even with the golf, and try and change. Riley was trying to do the Tiger Woods swivel today. But yeah, no, it's all good fun.
So you, in this lockdown, Riley, just a question for you. In this sort of lockdown period, are you sort of having Zoom calls of some of your friends that you play with at the golf club, and having some chats about golf, and you know, sharing ideas with your pals?
Well, not really. We're gonna try to.
Riley's mainly been talking to his pals playing his Xbox, haven't you?
Yes.
And you know what? I hate Xboxes and things like that. And but being stuck at home, it's the only way that the kids can really play with the mates. So I've got no dramas with it at the minute. We've got to do things. We're quite an active family, so we'd rather go out on a bike ride than play Xbox and do that sort of thing. But you've probably got head on a little bit.
I see you running the other day up the hill. You were showing Dad how it was done.
Yeah,
that's another great thing at the minute is staying fit. And like my background is physical education in the RAF, so I'm thinking about putting a video out there of like a golf specific bit like session that people can maybe go and do. Like, you know, we've been keeping ourselves fit. We went for another run yesterday, and we had a bit of a rest day today, but we'll be back out there doing something tomorrow. So there's not that much else to do. So it's a great time to be getting fit and mobile and all that. So yeah, it's good.
Absolutely. No, it's awesome. I think just got to keep. We've all got to continue to share, bounce ideas off each other. We're grateful for what you're doing with Colour Bath, and you know, we're excited about the journey of us. You know, we're actually looking into some junior certification as well. Just so you know. So there's going to be different elements. We're creating a lot of courses at the moment. We just launched a kids one, which is like a little junior online course with a character. So we're excited about getting even some of those you know, there's dice games. You can make, you know, there's like a colouring in competition. And I think that's the key thing, and I'm sure you agree, guys. It's doing stuff that's not just golf related, but doing golf, if that makes sense. You know, and because you've got to have that kind of break that focus of attention away. You know, it's like hitting balls in the net, Riley, and then going to have a little kickabout.
yeah.
You know, and then coming back.
Like not doing it all day.
Exactly. And then going out, like you said, going for Dad with a run or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think the variety's key, isn't it? You know.
But golf's great for that, because it's such a varied game. You know, there's so many elements to it. You know, you can you can work on all the little bits, whether it's a bit of putting, then a bit of chipping, and then a little bit of swinging. You know, you can kill an hour doing that, and that you know, I think if any kid's doing that at the minute, they're doing more than they would in a normal week. All these kids are going to go back in after lockdown, and they're all going to be scratch golfers.
Well, do you know what? The amount of people I've spoken to that have had they're looking to build like AstroTurf putting greens in the back garden, bespoke nets with frames, gyms in the garden. They won't need to have a gym membership, or you know, it's almost like teach yourself at home.
That's it. I finished the painting last week, and that's the last job in the house. So we're turning our attention to the garden, and our grass died over the winter. So the RAF are flying over us at the minute. But yeah, we're planning to put some Astro in the garden and get something out there. Probably not a putting green. We've got enough stuff to put on, but just to enjoy the garden a little bit more. I don't know if people have seen our videos, but the grass has took a beating over the winter, so it's not great.
I'll tell you what I saw the other day. There was a pro that was cutting up some old cans. I think he had some tomato, like old tin tomatoes, and then he taped up the top. Obviously, if not cut your hands, and then he put it into the hole in the garden. He's got like a little cup, and he painted it, so he's got a little golf hole. It was quite cool.
Brilliant, brilliant. I have looked how to do astroturfing and building a putting green in the garden, and I think it's just in my capability, to be honest. So watch this space. If Riley can twist my arm enough, we'll have one in the garden if we can.
I'll tell you what, you boys have got enough projects on. I don't know how you find the time, and I have to say all what you're doing, plus obviously family life and work and stuff. I think you really fit it in nicely, and as I know what it's like building content, we're not to the level of you guys doing YouTubes and stuff, but just putting physical content behind the scenes, it takes a long time. You see a little clip, but it takes a lot of editing.
Yeah, that's right. And you're right. It's finding that balance, and instead of having a 20-minute coffee break or something, I'll have a coffee and do some work on the Instagram or whatever the next post is going to be. Try and limit it to one a day. YouTube's a bit difficult. That's quite a lot of effort, and we'll see. We're going to give it 6 months, and I've got a bit of a gist of it now, and I think it's just a great platform for me and Riley, because we had so many really good plans to. I'm a massive advocate of the age-related tees thing, so I was going to play scratch against Riley, where he's playing off forward tees, but then push that message. Riley will play off whatever he's told. He wanted to play off the whites, but how much fun was it playing off forward tees?
It was really fun. It made it
just more enjoyable. Putting for birdies.
Putting for birdies, even eagles maybe.
Yeah, getting on the green in 2 on one of the par 5s and having an eagle putt. So, we wanted to do a real good thing with that. And obviously, when we can get on the course, we can. And there's still the element of actually seeing us on the golf course doing proper competitions where we play handicap against each other and put that content out. So. We'll keep doing that, and we'll see how it goes. It is gathering a bit of momentum at the minute, which is great. But I think those that are established in the YouTube will note that it is a lot of work, and as long as it doesn't get in the way of the family, I think then it's okay.
No, yeah. Absolutely. It's I know we're in lockdown. What is your handicap, Riley?
21.
Yeah, but all the videos you see, it's like putt for birdie, stiffed it, pictured it in close. You got some game now, and I'm sure you're excited, Andy, the future of Riley with his game and enjoying it. Because the other thing I was going to say, I kind of two-pronged really when I asked what your handicap was, is that really the handicap is irrelevant as well, because on the day, as you've mentioned there, you could go off the white, Riley off the front tees, and he could shoot 8 over. Or whatever, and it's just a handicap on the day, but it's not putting. It almost puts pressure on people too much when it's like, oh, I'm this handicap and I've got to get down 0.1 and I've got to do that. It's like no handicap, just enjoy it.
Exactly that, and I maybe watching Riley last year, we used that as a bit of a barometer of how he was improving. So as a 9-year-old, his handicap. They play off the yellows, so it's still 3,300 yards, and most of the holes have some element of whether it's a ditch or a brook or a like the fifth at our place is a nightmare. For Riley, it's about 180 yards, but there's 40 yards of water in front of it. So there's none of these holes where kids are hitting 3 woods on their second shots. You can't roll it up to the green because they're going to end up in a hazard. So they're always laying up. So I mean, Riley's best last year, he shot 6 over off the yellows, but he's only hitting it 100 and he was probably hitting about 170 yards back then. And on a 3,300 yard course. I was like, that's great. That was a great achievement for him. But he's not going to do that week in, week out. And then you do compare yourself to your handicap each time. And, speaking to peers the weekend where they was sort of mentioning about the handicap probably changed my perception a little bit more where, Riley just needs to go out and think about the next shot and play that as best as possible and sort of forget the consequences of any handicaps or anything else like that.
Well, yeah, because if you go out there and say you're a 10 handicap or whatever, you know in the back of your mind, okay, I've got 10 shots. But I used to work on the analogy when I played with guys is to stand on the first tee and go, well, Riley, you're 19 under on the first tee.
Yeah.
You know, when you work it the other way, you're 19 under. It's like winning a tournament. And when you work it backwards, rather than thinking, oh, I'm 10 handicap, or I'm 12 handicap, or in your case, say you're 2 handicap or 3 handicap, it's like, ignore it. It's 0. Think about after 9 holes, 18 holes, what that is. So it can always put unnecessary pressure on there. You don't need to.
Well, I think I had 4 rounds last year where I had one when I was in the RAF Southwest Champs at Pyle and Kenvig. I was 2 under with 3 to play, which was a really difficult course as well. I was playing really well. Yeah. And I ended up shooting level. I blew it. And then at my home course, I think the best I had, I was 5 under with 5 to play and finished 2 over. And then I had a couple of times where I was 3 under with, getting onto the back 9. Well, I shot 3 under front 9 and then go onto the back 9 and shoot 6 over. Because in my head, I'm like, and this is why I've started doing more mental work, is in my head, I'm thinking, I'm going to get cut down to 2 here because, I'm in the clubhouse. I'm 6 under. I'm 6 under, but you're not. You've just got to keep playing every hole at a time, and that's something I can try and push on to Riley. And always try and think of the best shot you've played with your club, and walk up to the ball, forget everything that you've done before it, and just imagine hitting that target and playing golf like that, rather than thinking I need to make this to beat my opponent or to beat my handicap.
Exactly. The score will be what it will be at the end of it. At the end of the day, it's but no,
it's hard to do.
Sorry,
it is hard to do, though, isn't it?
Absolutely. I'm not sitting here of I've had what you said there exactly the same, and it's amazing at different points in the round. I mean, if you think after 3 or 4 holes, 5 holes, you're thinking, a couple of under here, you're now going, I can go a bit lower. But it's like a point in the round at like hole 12, 13, when you're starting to see the close, thinking, hang on a minute, this is quite good. And then you're not thinking about, and then some negatives kick in. But you've got to, it's a guy, do you know Dave Allred?
No, I don't think so.
Sort of the rugby well. I mean, Dave Allred was Johnny Wilkinson's kicking coach, and he done some good stuff. But he talks about some good stuff about working on personal bests, PBs, and doing golf, hitting balls in sets of 5 balls, 10 balls, etc. But working on the PBs, as simple as that sounds, it's like you shot 80 today, shoot 79 tomorrow.
Yeah,
shoot 78, and it's just recording the personal bests all the time. It's quite a good way to think about it.
Well, weirdly, that's how we started the page. So once Riley started getting on the course, he was shooting. We were halving the hole, and when you were 5, 6 years old maybe, and Riley would he'd shoot 50 odd for 9 holes, but off of really forward tees. And so I just started logging that, and that's how the page started, really. It was, and then started doing a little bit more of what we were doing when we went to the range. And 3.5 years ago, that's how the page started, really. It's just logging all the PBs.
No, it's brilliant. I mean, do you share this if you want to share this on the call, but do you get quite a few sort of comments from families or in your situation messaging you, like father and sons, of saying, loving the journey you're doing, what you posted yesterday, I did that with my son. It must be quite inspiring to others that, not many people are doing the father and son journey. And I think it's the bond and the connection you've got, which probably makes the page someone, it's easy, from someone looking out to in your page. When you're involved with your own page, it's always a bit, well, I'm just doing my thing, or you're doing your day to day. But like Michelle said, the relationships you make in a comment, the relationships and some touch points that you can see are genuine with you guys, that's important for other people to see.
Yeah, I get, we do get quite a lot of that, actually, and that's that's great for me. Riley obviously doesn't see these as much, but people who maybe got really young kids as well, who are like, how do I get my 2 or 3 year old in? We'd really like to share a similar relationship to yourselves being able to get out on the golf course, and that's great. That's great to think like that. I'd much rather have someone approach us like that rather than, you know, one of my pet hates is seeing Road to PGA tour sort of hashtagging things from parents. That's your dream for them then, and you know, you were saying about what Riley's aspirations are and what my thoughts are. I have absolutely no thoughts on the future for Riley. It's his dreaming, and sort of I'll support whatever he wants to do, but I'm certainly not, you know, putting this page out thinking, you know, Riley's going to be the next Rory McIlroy. In his head, he's probably going, Dad, I want to be Rory McIlroy, and that's great. I'm not gonna push that away from him. I want him to think like that, but certainly don't want to be pushing and putting all that pressure. I mean, he's a 10-year-old kid. I just want him to enjoy it, and if that's brushing off on other people and people want to share similar experiences with their kids, then do that. Because I guarantee and there are parents that are doing this, because I've seen it, where they're grinding their kids day in, day out. They've got, you know, setups in their homes where the kids are doing hours and hours a day. You hear stories about people being homeschooled so they can do 7-8 hours of golf a day. That doesn't really sit great with me. So I just, you know, 10-year-old kid, we enjoy the journey. If people enjoy that, that's great.
I'm sure if you're sitting at the breakfast bar, Riley, with your dad, and where you've got it now is like, come on, Dad, let's go and do some stuff in the garden. You want Riley to say to you, come on, Dad, which you can clearly see.
Yeah, and that was one thing that, and again, I'll touch on it, but Piers mentioned it the other day about leaving when the kids are enjoying it, and I would never take Riley, after he was a little bit older and he started coming down, I'd never say, if I said, oh, I'm going to the range, and Riley went, I want to come, then Riley would come along. If I said, oh, I'm going to the range, and you know, I didn't get anything back, then I went to the range and I worked on my own, because I found those times when we were doing it, Riley wasn't invested in it. So if I'd taken him down and he didn't really want to go, he maybe just wanted to chill out, maybe he was a bit tired, you know, they weren't great sessions, and then I wouldn't work that great. He would maybe get a little bit frustrated, and it just led to a negative experience. So a real good thing that I sort of push on is that try and do it on their terms, make sure that they want to go and do it. Riley, I've worked today. Riley saw me playing golf outside, and then suddenly he appears, oh, I want to hit balls. It may not have been on the front of his mind. Maybe he wanted to be on his Xbox with his mate for a little bit, but then as soon as he heard me, he's then out there doing it himself, which is great.
Are we going to be seeing in the future a mum and daughter page?
I don't know.
What about Mom?
Probably not.
No, Mum not a golfer.
No.
I mean, it would be a miracle if she did.
Yeah, it would be a miracle. So no, Mum's not a golfer. She's massively into fitness and phys, and we do that side of things together, which we really enjoy. So we'll go out running or bikes and that side. We'll search family circuits. That sounds silly, but you know, a few things like that. Even when we go on holiday, you know, we try and stay really active together. But she's definitely not going to pick up a golf club anytime soon. Plus she's a lefty, so I wouldn't know what to do.
Well, I see your daughter. She had a set of clubs on one of your videos. Is it one of your latest videos?
Yeah. So Neve and Riley actually did our last review of the Innersys clubs from Decathlon, and that's where Colour Path really comes into its own as well. Is like with Neve, you know, she's definitely not at the understanding of Riley, obviously. So trying to tell Neve, so, you know, I can say certain things to Riley and he'd understand, where Neve, she's not going to get it all, but you throw the colour path down, it's just, you know, move it across the blue, go across, make sure the face is pointing towards the red, and go over the green through impact, and that makes it much easier, you know, and that's where your stuff comes into its own.
No, I really appreciate that, and you know, if you're doing your stuff, but if you need any little help or little videos going forward, Riley, and you want to do it, I know you've got your coach Richard, so it's not about obviously jumping on in Richard's space, but if you need any support with a little Zoom, feel free to reach out. it's great being on this call and having a chat with you and the journey you're doing with your dad. But I'm always here. You know, I love sharing some of the bits that we're doing and helping out, and yeah, love what you're doing, guys, and I really appreciate it. It's very good of you.
Nice one. Next time we'll so I reckon, well, we've done the 30 minutes in a bit, and actually I think my wife will be we're creeping into going to take the dog for a walk
Yeah,
time,
no,
so
crack on. Yeah, no.
we always do that at the end of the day, and try and do that together. So thanks for all the support so far. I'm sure this won't be the last time we sort of have one of these conversations, and I know we mentioned about maybe doing a colour path lesson as one of these live videos. So
yeah, perfect. I've got the,
you know,
Riley, I've stitched the towel to my hitting head, so I've got different flights.
That's cool.
So I've wasted the towel, but it's quite effective. But yeah, I've got all the stuff set up, and no, amazing. Thanks, guys. As I say, love what you're doing. Everyone should check out what you're doing in terms of the father-son relationship. Riley, you're doing some amazing stuff. Obviously, the golf, all the training aid stuff that you're doing, and all the people that are associated with what you're doing, it's brilliant. So sharing is caring. Stay safe, guys, and enjoy your.
Thank you. Yeah,
Cheers,
thanks for coming on the call. See you later.
Lovely. Cheers, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.